What is it? You're scared. You're afraid. And well, you should be. Well, Linda and I are just getting ready to leave on an extended trip. And there's always the basic things you need to take care of. Things like greasing the wheel bearings, checking tire condition and tire pressure. We've done these things so many times. It's old hat. But it wasn't always that way. There's so many things to consider. What kind of food to take along? How much? How much water? What toys do you bring? You were real careful in choosing your RV. You spent a lot of time thinking about it. You lay in bed at night just thinking about all the different things that you'll need and what to bring along and what route you're going to take, and you agonize over these things and you finally get it done. It's finally the time to go, but there's this gnawing in the pit of your stomach. What is it? You're scared. You're afraid. And well, you should be. After all, you've watched all the movies. So many different things can happen on the road. There's those weird people that hang out at every gas station and convenience store. There's the what if you get lost on some back roads in the woods and you can't find your way out? What if? There's all these unknowns that are racing around through your mind, and maybe you won't admit it to anybody else, but that's what's causing that feeling in the pit of your stomach.
You know, I don't think Rick meant afraid, fear. I think he meant apprehensive. You should have some apprehension, and apprehension is a good thing. It keeps you out of trouble. It makes you be more prepared for your trip, for your new lifestyle. A little bit of apprehension is a good thing. Don't lose that. And if you're going to start this lifestyle of traveling, nomading, being a nomad, or just going on vacation in your RV or your camper, educate yourself before you go. Education is what turns fear into apprehension. And by educating yourself, I mean, you say you're going to boondock and not pay any camping fees. Well, what do you know about boondocking? Do you know the rules? Go to the websites, USDA website, National Forest website, BLM website, and read exactly what boondocking is, what it entails, what are the rules. There are rules, you know, and you have to follow them. Do things like that before you go. Network with other people. Go to watch channels like ours of different people traveling, different nomads, because you learn a lot from them. And with the learning, you get more confident. That fear factor goes down a little bit, you know, and then it becomes a nice balance. And you can have a safe, fulfilling life on the road. And knowing where you're allowed to go and knowing that you're allowed to be there alleviates the fear of getting that dreaded knock at 2 in the morning. And learn to read people. When you're traveling and you meet people, they're all different. And most of them are nice. Not everyone is out to hurt you or take advantage of you. If you've had a job working with the public, you know all about that. But if you had a job where you're in your office cubicle and not interacting with the public every day, then that's something you should know. That people are generally pretty nice.
Well, Linda's right, and we've had very little problems with people while we travel. In fact, we enjoy meeting new people. Just keep in mind that farmers are different than city folk, and ranchers are different than farmers, and everybody's different. Just embrace it and enjoy the folks you meet along the way. But this thing about apprehension, for example, when you travel, do you always go to the same place? And do you not travel far from home? Or do you go with a strict set itinerary? Those are forms of apprehension too, because you're afraid to do anything that's different. And if you're going to get out on the road and experience the U.S., there's going to be a lot of different. Then there's different ecosystems. That can be another form of apprehension, is like you've never been to the desert and you're afraid of rattlesnakes. We've actually had people tell us that they think the desert is ugly and why would we ever go there? But you know, when you get out and travel the U.S., you can expect to experience everything from the shoreline to the tops of the mountains, and you'll find out that it's all very beautiful. The desert is actually very, very beautiful. Anyways, you should get out and enjoy it all and be open-minded about that too. And don't have a fear of it. Just be prepared for it. And the main thing is to slow down and just take it all one bite at a time and 1 mile at a time. You'll find out that the road is a very interesting place. So what are some things that should concern you, that should give you some apprehension? Well, anywhere you go, it's just like being at home. Do you leave valuables out in your front yard? Why would you leave valuables out in your campsite? You're just asking for trouble if you do that. Whenever we leave a campsite to go into town to get some supplies or something, we always put everything away. Solar panels, power stations, whatever was laying around, we put it away and lock it up. You don't want to tempt people. And on top of that, you don't want to appear to be too wealthy either. That's just inviting trouble. So you see, a little apprehension can actually keep you out of trouble. So listen to your sixth sense, and in some cases, just the normal 5 senses will work. For example, one night we were camped in a campground not too far from a small town, and towards evening, all these cars kept driving through. And it dawned upon us, it was a Friday night, it dawned upon us that the younger kids in town had nothing better to do than go out and cruise around, and they chose to keep cruising through the campground. We actually packed up and left, because, I don't know, it just didn't feel right to us. Or another time, we camped at a place that was known to be an overnight RV spot, and this was in Idaho Falls, Idaho. And we saw a drug deal going down, and we called up the local police and we says, should we be camped here? And they says, no, actually you shouldn't be. Even though it says that that's a good place to camp, don't camp there. We suggest that you go to. And we packed up and left. So sometimes that little gut feeling, that little apprehension is a good thing. Linda mentioned education, and that's a good idea. And it applies to more than just, you know, places that you're going. It also applies to the systems on your trailer, the basic systems on your car. For example, you get that check engine light. You should know that you can go to an auto parts store and they'll actually read that code for you and tell you what's wrong, and probably sell you the part to fix it too. But it helps if you know something about how an engine works on your car, so that you don't have to have that fear of something breaking down. You'll have a little pre-knowledge to help you get through problems on the road. Yeah, you got to study a little. And just making sure that your car and trailer are well maintained. Don't skip any services or anything like that. If you don't know about your car, then take it in and tell them what you're getting ready to do. You're leaving on a long trip, and have a mechanic check it out. And then it helps to have maps, detailed maps to help you on where you're going. We buy those gazetters, or gazetteers, or whatever they call them. I prefer them over the Benchmark brand. They're just easier to read. And you pick the states that you're going to spend the most time in, and you buy one for each state. And they're really detailed, and they show you all the public land too, BLM and National Forest, and you can see these things detailed on the map, so you can know where to go to camp. And then just a regular Rand McNally map to show you what highway you want to be on. Communication is really important. Not just your cell phone, well, especially your cell phone, but not just your cell phone, because when you get out west, you're going to find that when you leave the city limits, you leave the cell tower behind, and you need something more like a Garmin InReach. I think they're coming out with cell phones in the near future that are going to have satellite communication, so you can communicate from anywhere. But if you don't have that, like a Garmin InReach, so you can get help or contact your family with even that by sending a text message from anywhere you are in the world. Those are important to have. Communication. That also brings up another thing, weather. Weather is one of those things you need to think about before you even leave. Like there's no way I'd head for Arizona right now. This is the end of August and it's just sweltering down there. Have an idea of what the weather's going to be like whatever area you plan on traveling to. Look it up. Look up different cities, see what kind of weather they're getting and what the weather forecast is. And then have a way to get weather on the road. We always use the NOAA app, N-O-A-A, and Linda's got one that she likes too, but there's Weather Underground and weather.com and places like that you can get weather too. Get weather every morning so you know what's going to happen that day and you don't get caught unawares. Self-rescue is another thing. Have a decent toolkit in your car and know how to use those tools. Also, make sure you've always got water. If you've got a two-wheel drive, make sure you got traction boards, things to get yourself out of trouble just in case. And of course, the communication thing we just talked about. But think about self-rescue because when you do that, that also alleviates apprehension. And then there's one thing that everybody needs to think about, and that's self-defense. If you can defend yourself, that eliminates most of that apprehension that you probably have when you leave home. We have the Second Amendment in this country, and I suggest strongly that you exercise it. Some states don't allow you to protect yourself. I avoid those states. I never cross their borders. So only go places where you are allowed to defend yourself. Take a firearms training course. Get yourself a decent handgun, learn how to use it. But just because you got old Betsy strapped on your hip, that doesn't mean that you can just go anywhere, because the last thing you want to do is have to shoot somebody. You don't want to have to do that. When you carry a firearm, it's a big responsibility. And your biggest responsibility is avoiding situations where you might have to use it. You have to be a lot more aware than you normally are. But boy, does it give you peace of mind. So are we still apprehensive when we go? Well, I know I am. It's always like, did I load all that stuff that Linda wanted me to load?
Hey, don't blame me.
No, I mean, a little apprehension. I still have that, just making sure that we're prepared and ready to go. Anything to add to that, Linda?
Well, apprehension is something you want to keep close to you. Our ocean voyage, when we jumped off from Nia Bay, thinking back, I wasn't afraid. I didn't think we were going to go out there and die.
Almost did.
Almost did, but still, in all the storms and the gale force winds and dripping seawater into the boat, I was never afraid. I was apprehensive, but that kept us doing things to make things better.
Funny, that storm, that first night off the coast, we got hit so hard, and forever after that, in any of the voyages we made, we always compared it and said, well, this storm isn't as bad as the Washington coast, so I guess we're all right.
Yeah, we're fine.
It's all relative. Hey, anyways, you guys, if you come up with anything, any additional ideas, put them in the comments below.
Yeah, because that's another way we learn,
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, through the comments section and through other
An
videos.
exchange of information and
You bet.
yeah.
Have a good trip. We'll see you around.